Hello and welcome to another episode of DAWNCast. I'm Dai Lee.
And I'm Cathy Ngo.
Thanks for joining us. And today we've got Vinita Srimal. Is that right? I hope I've got your pronunciation of your name correct there, Vinita. Great.
Hang on.
Vinita is the author of a children's book called Kabir and the Silverspoon. And she's in India at the moment. And we thought we'll get Vinita on to DAWNCast to give us a bit of a, share with us what's happening over there in India. So how are you coping over there with COVID-19 in India there, Vinita?
So, I think we've all gotten used to dealing with the dread. So when it was coming, we thought the lockdown is going to rescue the country and we'll probably get a lot of time. But the numbers are rising every day. And everybody knows India is an overpopulated country. Our healthcare is probably one of the worst in the world. And a large segment of our population is still quite poor. So having said that, I don't know how we are going to kind of manage this at grassroots level once it really starts spreading. I mean, the numbers now, I think, as of yesterday, were around 95,000.
Deaths? 95,000 deaths?
No, 95,000 cases.
Of infected.
People infected, but the population is such, and it is so densely populated, Guy, that the minute it kind of starts to get, like at a community spreading stage, we don't know where this is going to take us. And how long can we be under lockdown,
So has there been any easing of your lockdown restrictions in India? Has there been any announcement made by the government over there?
So the government has extended the lockdown till the 31st. They have eased out a little. People need to get back to work if they follow social distancing norms and things like that. So a little bit of easing out has happened. Having said that, things are not running smoothly, and none of us know when they are going to get anywhere close to normal. For offices, factories, schools, everything is right now in a freeze.
Wow. So what have you been up to? I mean, it's obviously quite devastating with the whole lockdown and everything like that. And I think from a mindset perspective, have you distracted yourself by doing something? Because you're a writer, so have you been doing like lots and lots of writing? Like, what have you been up to?
I was telling Dai also, you can write when you are in a slightly better frame of mind. Right now, my 7-year-old son is breathing down my neck. My husband is home. And nothing seems to be working. It took me 15 minutes to get a place to sit for this podcast because I have not been able to call the electrician home. Switches are not working. The aircon is not working. Things are happening in different parts of the house. And we are trying to make do. So honestly, our nerves are slightly frayed right now. The holiday season is over. We've all done a lot of cooking. So you'll be surprised, but there's a lot of quarantine cooking happening right now in India. I don't know if it's the case everywhere in the world. We are suddenly I'm part of this Facebook group, quarantine cooking, and everyone's been exchanging recipes, and there's a limit to which you can cook, and so yeah.
What kind of how long have you been in lockdown now? Since when?
It's been from end of March, and this is the third extension till end of 31st May. So effectively, I think it's going to be 2.5 months, maybe longer, for life to start. And we don't know, even now, we don't know what it's going to be like once things resume. Having said that, I think what really helped India in this lockdown is the fact that, at a local level, we all have our, how should I put it, but a network in place. So even right through the lockdown, there's not been a single day but have not been able to buy vegetables and fruits. We have these community grocery stores, we call them Kirana stores. And they've all been so kind and so helpful that even if you call them, they will drop it under your building. I don't see it happening everywhere, but that is what has bailed us out. So a lot of us, we realize that it is your community that is bailed you at a moment like this. There are these vegetable vendors coming on cycles and they're making sales right under the building. So it's fine. I think the community will bail each other out. And there's not been an issue of food supply or medicines being out of stock. But I think it's been very difficult for the migrant population. I don't know if you've had a chance to read, but for migrants from other states of India who work in the urban cities, they've really borne the brunt of this lockdown. It's been terrible for them.
In what sense?
Oh, if you read their stories, it's heart wrenching. It's very deeply tragic. Like suppose yesterday I was reading about a man who lost his son in Bihar, and he works somewhere in North India, and he's not being able to go for his own son's funeral because of the lockdown. The cops are not letting him cross state borders. So it's devastating. What has happened at that level is devastating.
Yeah, I have read a little bit about that because a lot of people are traveling from very far, like villages, just to go into the urban areas to work, and then the lockdown happened and they can't go back home. And it's just, it breaks my heart just to hear all that story. Yeah.
I mean, India is such a, crowded city. Like, it's the second most populous country in the world. So what is the city looking like? What is the street looking like now? Like, it used to be like congested, like anything, with elephants and with cows on the road. Now is it only elephants and cows and no people?
So no, see, elephants and cows are more in rural India, not so much in the streets of India.
They're quarantine baking.
It's a delight to go out right now. So I went to my doctor, and the streets were just completely empty. There is no pollution. If I go down for a walk in my own building, I can see the plants are gleaming because there's no pollution. I have never seen such a sheen on each leaf. So, I take my son down and we just spend like an hour noticing and admiring nature. It is not something we do usually or with such a pause, but because, we have no frenzied activity, and nature is blossoming right now because of no pollution. Yes.
So how is it impacting your work life and family life?
So, like my husband runs a factory, and he supplies machinery to tea and coconut plantations across the world, like Vietnam, Indonesia, and Philippines, and all of these countries. I don't see him making a work trip anytime soon. So we don't know whether people are going to be able to place orders for capital expenditure over Zoom calls. We don't know how that's going to play out. Hopefully, we'll be able to meet the orders that he already has, and hopefully, we'll be able to send them out in time, because right now to get laborers and to start factory, all of that is going to be a huge ask. That's his work. About me, so I don't know, maybe I'm making excuses, but not a lot of writing is happening. And I know people who are extremely disciplined. They get up at 5 in the morning and they're meditating and they find time to do everything. Maybe it's just me, but I'm not being able to do a lot of writing. Although I did kind of start to put my blog out together. I used this period to work on my blog. So that is one thing good that came out of the lockdown. And I think I mentioned it to you that I've been wanting to start this natural food company where we source directly from farmers and kind of sell it out. So a lot of work is going on that end, except the certification authorities are shut right now, and I don't know when they're going to reopen for me to really resume work. So yes.
So being the house with a 7-year-old and the husband.
I can relate because I'm a writer myself, and you need to be in that mindset to write and get those creative juices flowing. But what I have found recently is trying to find the pain or the humor in something and then channeling that. And I think that's kind of worked for me. I think the greatest writing, not that I'm a great writer, although maybe I am, but is that when you can feel that pain and that rawness. So yeah, that's something that I just wanted to share. But yeah, you just need, it's all about mindset, isn't it?
I think what the lockdown has done for us at, we were leading a largely insulated lives. I mean, if you belong to a certain strata of the society, even in India, you think you're kind of insulated from whatever else is going around you. And I was telling my husband this, that there is no way you can, I mean, no man is an island, you are part of whatever else is happening around you. You're part of the ecosystem where you are. So we are learning to cope. We are learning new skills. It is also largely a society where the upper class in India, we kind of have a lot of household help. So it is the first time that people don't have household help because they're not
Oh,
this or
yes.
they're not
Oh, yeah,
around.
the culture of,
So,
yeah.
and then you learn to do things that, so I was telling my son, this is like being at the Everest Base Camp, because I went trekking a few years back. I said, if the bathroom in your light is not working, it is fine. We will take a torch and you will go inside and use it. And you learn to, do things that you don't do in India, at least in our kind of household where you have help. So I think um, we've learned to kind of do our things and our work right till the end, which is a great learning.
Wow. So
Yeah.
that's a lot. That's a huge shift, isn't
Yeah.
it, in terms
Yes.
of households in India?
Yeah, I didn't
Yes.
really think about that because, I mean, it's not just India, but like think about Singapore where there's that culture of having help, and also in
Yeah.
Hong Kong and
That's all going to change. That's interesting.
I
so
think
That's a
for the
topic.
upper middle class, those who don't have household help right now, you kind of learn to do your own thing, and you learn to do things you don't do usually. I mean, I'm extremely embarrassed to admit it, but we have people who come and clean up washrooms for us. So and we call them sweepers, and it happens, and I'm extremely
Yeah.
embarrassed to admit it to you, but it is something that is practiced across the country. So you learn to clean your own washrooms,
Yeah.
which is a skill that you need.
Look, we haven't got much more time, but how is the media covering COVID-19? You have worked in many of the mainstream media institutions in India. So what are your colleagues reporting? How are they reporting on it?
So I think largely, in India, like everywhere else, it's right wing and left wing. So there are those who will support the government no matter what, and they will make a very big deal about whatever. I mean, I'm not blaming the government at this point of time. They're probably trying to do what they can, but there will be this right wing media which will just focus on everything wonderful that the government has done. And then there will be the other side, which will tell you stories about the migrant population, about how this has affected the common man. So I think there's been a fairly mixed reportage from both ends. And yes, it is being covered. There is no censorship of media as such in our country. So yes.
And as a consumer of media, what do you think is missing in the whole reporting around COVID-19 in India? Is there anything that you would like to see more of, but you're not?
So, what has happened, Dai, is that we are consuming media right now. I'm avoiding print because they say that, it touches many hands, and it's a
Oh,
chance contamination, especially in a country like ours. So I'm avoiding all sorts of print media. We are only
oh,
consuming
online.
news on TV, on internet, and things like that. And having said that, sometimes I want an in-depth reporting about what is happening. Some scientists, that in-depth reporting I'm not getting. What I'm getting every morning is numbers. Some company somewhere finding the cure, and that cure going out of the window in a week's time.
Yes. And
That's what it is.
politicians talking.
Yeah, yeah.
But the science of it. Yeah, look, I think we were trying to get some scientists on our podcast soon to talk about virology, the virus itself and all of that stuff. So do you have any last question, Catherine, before we kind of wrap this up? And
no, just so in terms of quarantine cooking, is there, what has been your favorite dish? I love food. I love talking about food. So.
Same
You know,
here.
I was never much of a baker, Catherine, and I'm very proud to admit that at least the one thing that I've started in this quarantine cooking is making my own bread, and that gives me a lot of
Yes.
satisfaction. Yes, so that gives me a lot of satisfaction.
Yeah.
And we are trying to keep our spirits upbeat as much as we can. So all of social media is flooded with recipes, and I had this professor who once commented a few weeks back that the migrant population is not getting food, and just stop putting these posts out about food everywhere.
Oh no.
So,
Well, look, thanks so much for giving us a kind of little snapshot of the life in India at the moment under COVID-19. We really appreciate that. We know that you have got that book, Kabir and the Silver Spoon. I know we haven't got the time to go into that, but we will share that linked on our podcast or on our podcast here. But probably we'll get you back next time and under a different situation and share about that book, because there's some really cultural insight. The reason why. Do you want to quickly give us a quick synopsis of why you wrote that book? Just about 30 seconds, if you can.
So I'll try and make it quick. The reason I wrote that book was I wanted a setting which is largely Indian, because Indian children are consuming a lot of fantasy, which is based in a different world, which is a different setting. And here I'm trying to make the setting Indian, use characters which are borrowed from Indian mythology and folklore. And there's been an attempt to create a fantasy around that.
Well, look, thank you very much once again, Vinita, and really appreciate your time. And that's it from us at DAWNCast. I'm Dai Lee.
And I'm Cathy Ngo. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, click on the bell as well, just to get a notification for amazing content like this. And have a wonderful day.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Vinita. Bye.
Bye.
Lovely chatting with the both of you. Thank you.
Thank you.